Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Victor Matthias. Hundreds of Boko Haram jihadists flee from Sambisa Forest in northeast Nigeria to escape military airstrikes and flooding, seek shelter in the Republic of Niger. Department of State Services vows to deal with those responsible for the nation's insecurity. National Industrial Court adjourns suit filed by the federal government against striking university lecturers till Monday, September the 19th. Plus, long queues characterize the Queen's Lion Estate in London as thousands wait to catch a last glimpse of the Queen's coffin. That's News Round in View. We begin News Round with cheery news for the Northeast governors, with reports that the tide appears to have turned against terrorist groups Boko Haram and ISWAP. Now, they seem to have been caught on their back foot, as hundreds of them are reported to have fled the Sambisa Forest area in Borno State to escape the air bombardments and ground operations by the military. Their condition is said to have been compounded by floods from torrential rains, which is forcing them to seek shelter on the Republic of Niger side of the Lake Chad Basin.
Boko Haram insurgents have terrorized northeastern Nigeria for 13 years now, sometimes extending their attacks to other parts of the country. These attacks have led to over 2 million people fleeing their homes and over 40,000 people killed, while an unknown number remain in Boko Haram captivity as kidnapped victims. Although the jihadists have recently taken their attacks beyond the northeast, extending to the northwest and north central, their bold challenge to the seat of power with the attacks on the Kuje Correctional Center as well as the Presidential Guards Brigade seems to have drawn the fire of the Nigerian military, turning the tide against the insurgents.
We, of course, are not, it's not that we do not have our moments, but I'd like to also say that it's all for love of country. Our commitment is to see a secure country. It's not because we're looking for job. No, it is because we have a desire, a patriotic zeal to ensure that we have a country that is free, that is safe from harm, a country where every citizen live in peace, where everyone, who desire to earn a living, who desire to undertake any enterprise, socio-economic enterprise, is free to do so.
Reports say hundreds of them are now on the run as they try to evade airstrikes and an onslaught from Mother Nature, with the rainy season bringing torrential rainfall that is flooding their camps in Sambisa Forest, their notorious hideout.
This is not something that anyone could have predicted, but nature has now given us an opportunity. Nature has put pressure on a group that has been ravaging Nigeria for more than 10 years. And in such a circumstance, they are in severe disarray.
According to the AFP, the terrorists were seen traveling in a convoy of over 50 trucks through areas including Mafa Forest and between Gajaram and Gasarawa to reach the borders with Niger Republic and the Niger axis of the Lake Chad Basin, where they are said to have camps. Analysts say this may provide the military an opportunity to rout these enemies of state.
They are currently very weak, so it's an opportunity for us to continue with the current momentum. Let's remember that in the last few weeks, we've seen an intensity in terms of the military operations that have been going on all over the country. Now, consistently, in addition to the military onslaught, this natural phenomenon, the flooding, and disease too, to an extent, this fratricidal conflict between them is also leading to a depletion of the members of the two groups. So really, we have a very good opportunity at our hands at the moment.
Indeed, if the security forces of both Nigeria and Niger Republic, joined by the multinational Joint Task Force, The noose may be tightened on the terrorists as they seem now to be caught between a rock and a hard place.
Still on security matters, hope for the rescue of the remaining kidnapped victims during the Abuja-Kaduna attack by terrorists remains alive. Now, this assurance was given by the federal government during the National Security Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, where he said the arrests of the former negotiator, Tukur Mamu, will not stop the dialogue with the terrorists. Meanwhile, the federal government has disbanded the National Task Force on the Prohibition of Illegal Importation, Smuggling of Arms, Ammunition, Light Weapons, Chemical Weapons, and Pipeline Vandalism.
At 10 a.m. Thursday, September the 15th, 2022, the National Security Council convenes at the council chambers of the State House in Abuja for another Security Council meeting. In attendance are the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno, and all the security chiefs. The current spate of insecurity across the country has been a cause of concern for all Nigerians. The recent arrest of a publisher and hostage negotiator, Mr. Tukur Mamu, in Cairo, has led to questions on the fate of the kidnapped victims of the Kaduna-Abuja railway attack. Recently, the convoy of a federal lawmaker, Senator Ifeanyi Uba, representing Anambra South Senatorial District, was attacked, leading to the death of at least 5 people. After 2.5 hours of deliberations, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Arigbeshola, and the Minister of Police Affairs, Mr. Mohammed Dingyadi, briefed State House correspondents on resolutions reached at the security meeting, beginning with the disbandment of a private security outfit known as Nat Force.
Equally of concern is the presence of some illegal outfits that impersonate the legitimate security agencies. Of particular concern is a body called National Task Force on Illegal Importation of Goods, Small Arms, and what have you, but the short name for it is NATFORCE. The Council declares that body an illegal organization. It should just simply disband itself, because the Council has ordered all security agencies to enforce the disbandment of that body and other such bodies that operate illegally.
Journalists are informed that the Council has passed a vote of confidence on the nation's security forces. And according to the Minister of Police Affairs, the arrest of Tukur Mamu has not stalled negotiations for the release of the kidnapped victims.
We only came to know Mamu because he made himself known. There are other negotiators who are there negotiating on behalf of these captives. The parents are also there, the security agencies are also there. We are all negotiating. So don't say that because Mamu has been arrested, there is no negotiator. People are there working to ensure that as Nigerians who are committed to maintenance of peace, liberty, and security for fellow Nigerians, people go in to assist security agencies in this direction.
The National Security Council is attributing what it's describing as gains made by security forces in recent times to a change in tactic. And they say these changes will culminate in a country safe enough to run the 2023 general elections. From the State House in Abuja, Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And the Department of State Service, DSS, is vowing to round up those that are responsible for the insecurity in the country. The Director General of the service, Mr. Yusuf Bichi, stated this at an event in Abuja to celebrate his reappointment by President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term.
In a relaxed atmosphere, officers of the Department of State Service celebrate their boss on the successful completion of his first term in office and his reappointment by President Muhammadu Buhari for another term of 4 years, as they commend his role in tackling the security challenges in the country.
For the 4 years we have witnessed, and the more years we will witness, we have a man we trust, and we have a man whose hand has heard us, a man whose voice has re-echoed in command, and we have no problems obeying him.
He has succeeded in creating new commands and new departments for the service, which actually accommodated more officers to occupy
command positions in the service. This is very rare achievement.
For the man of the moment, regardless of the celebration, there's a new era in the fight against criminality in the country.
All the services rely on us, and we are not going to fail them. It's a commitment I once again do now, that definitely in the next couple of days, weeks, or months, all those responsible for all this insecurity will definitely be rounded up, and they will never escape.
However, he is promising that justice and fairness will continue to guide the activities of the service.
We instead, for this year's compiling, analyzing, building our data on people that definitely wants to undermine the security of this nation, or even the democracy. And this is not, we are not going to leave it to happen. We took that result, and we are going to do it. Once we want to deal with you, we deal with you, but in a fair manner and just. So justice, fairness is what will guide us.
As a book titled For the Records, a compendium of Y.M. Beach's legacy at the DSS is unveiled, the Department of State Service is assuring of improved security in Nigeria ahead of the 2023 general elections. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Now, away from security to the lingering strike by university lecturers, the National Industrial Court has adjourned till September the 19th the suit filed by the federal government challenging the action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. At the resumed sitting, the counsel to the federal government, James Igwe, asked the court to give the suit an accelerated hearing due to the urgency of the matter to enable students return to school. Counsel to the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Mr. Femi Falana, says the union is meeting with stakeholders to ensure that the matter is resolved.
Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, are here at the National Industrial Court of Nigeria to face the suits filed against them by the federal government, challenging their industrial action, which they embarked upon about 7 months ago. At the day's proceedings, counsel to the federal government, Mr. James Igwe, tells the judge that since the matter was already in court, it will be proper for the strike to be called off pending the determination of the suit. Counsel to ASUU, Femi Falana, however, reminds the court that the case was slated for Friday, September 16, for further mention and not for hearing. He confirms receipt of the federal government's motion for interlocutory injunction. Mr. Falana adds that ASUU is currently meeting with stakeholders to ensure that the lingering crisis is resolved, just as he appeals to the federal government to cooperate with them to resolve the issue. In his ruling, Justice Polycarp Hammond agreed with the counsel to ASUU that the case was adjourned for further mention and not hearing. He notes that the federal government's application was due for hearing. He also noted that the applications filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SARAP, seeking to be joined is not ripe for hearing.
I am certainly sure that the federal government, in their magnanimity, wanted to exhaust the conciliatory processes. The Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment duly apprehended the strike and set up the necessary mechanisms towards the resolution, and the government was very, very serious about it. And then while those conciliatory processes were on, ASUU did the rollover strike and then had indefinite strike. So what the Minister of Labour and Employment has done to make this referral is in the best interest. Yeah, I'm certainly sure he probably would have gone to court earlier, but he wanted to ensure there is conciliation.
Our appeal should go to the government to learn to respect agreements so that these strikes will not be necessary, in the interest of the nation and in the interest of our children. And notwithstanding the fact that the matter is in court, the government must be prepared to end this strike. Only the government can do so today.
The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, also brought an application asking that the strike be called off as soon as possible.
The students are holding the short end of the stick. They are the victim in the deal of the case. So that's why we brought an application that in all they are doing, the elephants, in all ASUU is doing, in all the federal government is doing, they should consider the interest of the students and call off the strike.
The case was subsequently adjourned to September 19, 2022 for hearing of the interlocutory application of the federal government.
When News Round returns, National Emergency Management Agency NEMA says more than 300 people have been killed across Nigeria this year in flood disasters. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Nigerians living in flood-prone areas may have a lot to worry about, as the impact of flood disaster this year could surpass that of 2012, which has been the worst flood disaster recorded in recent times in Nigeria. Now, this warning is coming from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, which says that more than 300 people have been killed across Nigeria this year as a result of severe flooding.
Stakeholders in disaster risk reduction and management are gathered in this hall to discuss the best way to tackle the challenge of disaster in Nigeria, which the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Mustafa Ahmed, says has become an issue of concern.
As we are all aware, dear country Nigeria is faced with humanitarian crisis, human displacement, and a threat to achieving sustainable development goals 2030.
Key to the discussion here is the need for information sharing and the importance of data gathering that will ensure timely response to cases of disaster as they happen.
The new paradigm of disaster risk reduction is essentially, amongst others, contingent on risk-informed data for effective and efficient disaster decisions and management.
Across different parts of the country, flood is wreaking havoc, and the impact on human lives and properties has been enormous. The Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency shares with journalists the statistics of flood disasters in Nigeria since the beginning of the rainy season in 2022.
This year, the floods we have received that has hit this country or has hit communities is the worst. We get more than 50 alerts in a day. We get more than 100 and something communities hit in one day, worse than 2012. And it's still going up. The numbers are still going up. Based on seasonal climate prediction and annual flood outlook released by NIMET and NISA, I don't have the figure accurately, but I think it's about 300 and something lives have been lost so far.
NEMA is hoping that states are able to enforce flood forecasts to mitigate its impact, thereby reducing disaster. The 2012 flood disaster left over 363 people killed, with more than 2.1 million other people displaced from their homes. NEMA says the situation this year could even be worse, and the need for this workshop, which it hopes to cascade to the state levels. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Millions around the world have been expressing their condolences over the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Here in Lagos, a commendation service has been held at the residence of the British Deputy High Commissioner as per the Queen's wishes for those not able to attend the funeral in London.
In the calm of the evening, guests begin to arrive at the residence of the British Deputy High Commissioner in Ikoyi, Lagos. Many of them dressed in black in solidarity with the United Kingdom as it mourns the demise of the Queen. Among them, traditional rulers, statesmen, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the Nigerian-Britain Association, and the Governor of Lagos.
God of love, We thank you for the life of the Queen, for her service to our nation, and for our faith in you.
It's a short service, but one that certainly captures the character and personality of the Queen, who always considered the needs of others while performing her royal duties.
Many of you will be aware that she was never intended to be Queen. Her father became king when his brother abdicated. So unlike her son, His Majesty King Charles III, this was not a role that she spent 73 years preparing for. Even so, she showed for that 70 years the professionalism and dedication that she became renowned for. She became to be known as the very model of public service. The United Kingdom was and remains a constitutional monarchy. And as we are British, we even choose to make life just a little more interesting, and so not write that constitution down. What it meant, though, was Her Majesty's role was to stand above politics and to be there to ensure stability of government.
And with the first verse of the new UK national anthem, the service is over. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu reflects on the qualities that made the Queen stand out from other world leaders.
Watching from afar, you could see a woman of grace, a woman who indeed, has transformed life, has built bridges in the entire Commonwealth community. We're told she's been to over 112 countries, right? She's made the Commonwealth and the United Kingdom government stronger and bigger than what it is now. Having hand over government to over 15 prime ministers. Well, I think all of our credentials will be difficult for previous and future kings and queens to be.
While monarchs do not mourn, the Erelu Kuti of Lagos, Abiola Dosunmu, speaks about her admiration for the Queen.
What's much more poignant for me is the ovation, the eulogies, and everything. You have one thing going through everything. Kind. And I'm hoping that this platform by which we are all grieving because of this woman will be a turning point.
The funeral for Queen Elizabeth II takes place on Monday, September 19, 2022. It will be witnessed by many world leaders, but watched by millions of people around the world. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
Our news round ends in Westminster Hall in London, where the Queen's coffin has been lying in state for people to pay their last respects to the Queen up until 6:30 a.m. on Monday, September the 19th, the day of the funeral. Thousands of mourners have been waiting in very long queues to catch one last glimpse of the Queen's coffin.
Thousands of mourners queued all through the night to see the Queen lying in state at Parliament on Wednesday. Her coffin was brought to Westminster Hall from Buckingham Palace, and just after 5 p.m, the public began to file past the coffin, some in tears, many bowing their heads.
I was here for the lying in state for the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, about 20 years ago. I must admit I can't remember if I said anything, but I do know I bowed, and it will be similar this time. We'll have to move past in an orderly fashion quite quickly so the maximum number of people can pass and pay our respects in our individual manners. I haven't decided yet what I'll say.
Wednesday marked the moment the coffin passed from the family to the state. King Charles, his sons Princes William and Harry, and other senior royals joined a solemn procession taking the Queen's coffin as the late monarch made her final journey from Buckingham Palace on Wednesday. Huge crowds gathered in central London to witness as the coffin, lying on a gun carriage, covered by the royal standard flag, and with the imperial state crown placed on a cushion on top, alongside a wreath of flowers. The coffin bearing the Queen's body, taken in a slow, somber procession from her London home to Westminster Hall, where it will lie in state until Monday. Walking directly behind were King Charles and his siblings, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. Following slightly behind were Princes William and Harry. Mourners continued to queue for several miles along the south bank of the River Thames Thursday morning to see the Queen's coffin lying in state in London. All through Wednesday night, the line stretched back several miles along the river, past landmarks such as Tower Bridge and a replica of Shakespeare's Global Theatre. Crossing Lambeth Bridge as it neared Westminster Hall, people waited for many hours.
Just remembering everything that she did for us. She gave so much. She would stand and she, in her duties, she would give so much. And I just think maybe give a little bit back and say thank you.
As the day wore on, the Princess Royal took some time to view the flowers and tributes to the Queen. The new Prince and Princess of Wales also greeted members of the public and viewed floral tributes outside Sandringham. Sandringham has been the private home of 4 generations of British monarchs since 1862. Other senior members of the royal family have also been greeting members of the public, appreciating the turnout, love and support for the royal family at this time.
That's News Round this week. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Bye for now.